Something deeply disturbing has just come to light inside one of Britain's most secure prisons. Just days after triple child killer Axel Rudakubana attacked a prison guard with scalding water, a shocking twist has emerged. One that raises urgent questions about the very system meant to keep the most dangerous criminals under control. What happened behind the gates of HMP Belmarsh may not just be a failure of security. It could be something far worse. Let's break it down. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. A major twist has emerged following the violent prison attack carried out by triple child killer Axel Rudakubana, and it's one that raises serious questions about the competence, priorities, and decision-making within Britain's prison system. Just days ago, the nation was sickened once again by this already infamous name, Axel Rudakubana, after it was revealed he launched a scalding water attack on a prison guard at HMP Belmarsh. The officer was left injured and rushed to hospital following the incident. But now, in a development that is nothing short of staggering, we've learned that Rudakubana's supervision was quietly downgraded just weeks before the assault took place. That's right, this is no longer just a story about a violent outburst in prison. This is now a case of gross negligence and institutional failure. Rudakubana, just 18 years old, was previously under constant monitoring, 24/7 supervision in the healthcare unit of one of Britain's most secure prisons. That level of observation is typically reserved for inmates at extreme risk of suicide or self-harm. Staff are trained to engage in regular conversation checks, to watch for signs of instability, and to intervene immediately if an inmate poses a threat. So what happened? According to prison sources, that level of supervision was downgraded roughly 2 weeks before the attack. Rudakubana was no longer monitored continuously. Instead, he was placed on a staggered watch with unpredictable and less frequent checks. And that window, that reduction in oversight, may have given him the time and opportunity to prepare his attack. Make no mistake, this wasn't a spontaneous act of rage. This was a premeditated assault. He used a kettle to heat up water and threw it through the hatch of his cell door, targeting the officer in what is now being investigated as a serious criminal assault. The officer was taken to Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Woolwich, though fortunately he is expected to return to work soon. But the questions left behind are serious and damning. Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick responded with fury, calling the downgrade a major security failure and slamming the idea that dangerous prisoners like Rudakubana are allowed luxuries such as kettles in their cells. He put it plainly, the right of our prison officers to do their job safely is infinitely more important than the right of these sick criminals to have a cup of tea. And he's not alone. Mark Fairhurst, head of the Prison Officers Association, questioned why Rudakubana was given the same privileges as lower-risk inmates, saying bluntly, "We have to base everything on risk and don't give access to things with which they can attack staff." Former prison governor Ian Atchison added that attacks like this are probably more likely under downgraded watch conditions, precisely the kind Rudakubana had just been moved to. The most galling part? Despite his horrific crimes, officials claim Rudakubana did not meet the criteria to be placed in the High Security Unit, HSU, a specialized wing within Belmarsh designed for the most dangerous and volatile prisoners. The HSU is a prison within a prison, where each cell is individually secured, and inmates are not permitted items like kettles. As of now, it's unclear whether Rudakubana has ever been placed there. This all comes barely a month after Manchester Arena bomb plotter Hashem Abedi, another inmate at HMP Frankland at the time, carried out a similar attack, throwing boiling butter at 4 guards and attacking them with a knife. Following that incident, Abedi was moved to Belmarsh and placed in the High Security Unit. So again, why wasn't Rudakubana? This is a man convicted in January for the calculated slaughter of 3 young girls. He was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 52 years. He is not going anywhere. And yet, prison officials seem to have decided that someone like him didn't warrant the highest level of containment or supervision. This is a failure not just of policy, but of basic judgment. The prison service issued a familiar-sounding statement. Violence in prison will not be tolerated, and we will always push for the strongest possible punishment for attacks on our hard-working staff. But the damage is already done. The attack has happened, and it was preventable. This latest revelation, that Ruta Cubana's downgrade in monitoring came just weeks before the assault, feels like a scandal in the making. It suggests that far from being a secure, controlled environment, Belmarsh may have allowed one of Britain's most reviled killers to act with intent because someone, somewhere, took their eye off the ball. And the message to prison officers across the country: you're on your own. Until there's accountability, real structural accountability, this won't be the last time we hear about a tragedy that could have and should have been stopped. In other news, British soldiers could be deployed on European Union military missions as part of joining the bloc's rearmament program, costing £127 billion. The deployments have been released in a leaked draft of the new defence and security partnership, which was marked, classified and sensitive, The Telegraph reports. The draft says Sir Keir Starmer will have to consider sending British troops on civilian missions and military operations and missions, upon the invitation of the EU. It will be negotiated at the UK-EU summit on May 19th in London. Joining the deal will be the first prerequisite for a third country to be able to participate in the EU's Security Action for Europe SAFE Fund. The SAFE scheme aims to raise at least £127 billion through the EU's budget to buy weapons from manufacturers in the scheme. The government is keen to join the fund so British armed firms can achieve new contracts. Since Donald Trump's warning over lack of defense spending, the EU have been trying to ramp up arms spending. The SAFE agreement says that third countries must have entered into a security and defense partnership in order to open up eligibility. This draft, which was put together by the EU's top diplomat, Kaja Kallas, lays out areas where the bloc expects the UK to cooperate on foreign policy, security and defence. It proposes new intelligence sharing mechanisms and coordination of conflict prevention, and joins plans to put the UK and EU on a war footing. There are no references in the plan on illegal migration or tackling people smuggling gangs. The UK will have to accept EU boats to continue fishing in British waters for the next 3 years. The leaked agreement comes as Starmer surrendered access to the UK's coastal waters for no concrete agreements. Foreign Secretary David Lammy said on Wednesday that "We're pleased that we are now negotiating with our friends in Europe a UK-EU defence security partnership," as he joined his EU counterparts for talks in Poland. The UK will consider its participation in the EU Common Security and Defence Policy, civilian missions and military operations and missions upon the invitation of the EU, the defence deal states. Your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video, let me know down in the comment section below. If you have not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.